This is Switzerland, a country of breathtaking landscapes, pristine lakes, and a legendary spirit of self-reliance. It's a picture of perfect tranquility. But for years, behind the peaceful facade of these everyday homes, a silent tension has been building. It's a tension that arrives every month right in the mailbox, disguised as a bill. The crushing cost of energy. For a nation that prides itself on stability, relying on foreign energy has made it incredibly vulnerable. When prices spike across Europe, or when global conflicts choke off supplies, it's the families here who feel the immediate pain. For many, things came to a breaking point in 2022. In one of the wealthiest countries on earth, people were being told to brace for winter blackouts. The fear was palpable. Would they have to choose between heating their homes and putting food on the table? It was a feeling of being completely helpless against vast, uncontrollable forces. But what if the solution wasn't some massive, distant project? What if the power to reclaim control was hiding right here in plain sight? We're going to show you how regular families are plugging into a secret power source that's sparking a quiet revolution across the nation. The paradox of modern Switzerland is that for all its wealth and innovation, it has been shockingly dependent on others for its energy. For decades, the country has relied heavily on imported electricity to survive the cold, dark winter months. This isn't just about money, it's a matter of national security and national identity. The country's long-term energy strategy 2050 was meant to shift slowly toward renewables and phase out nuclear power. But for many, that felt like a far-off dream. The day-to-day reality was a constant, nagging insecurity. This vulnerability became painfully clear during the energy crisis. Headlines screamed with warnings of supply shortages. The government launched campaigns urging people to save every possible watt. For families, the emotional toll was immense. Imagine telling your kids to put on another sweater, not for fun, but because turning up the heat could blow up the family budget. This wasn't just a problem for a handful of people. It was a nationwide anxiety, a sense that the famous Swiss stability was beginning to crack under the strain of unpredictable global markets. The country that had mastered banking, watchmaking, and engineering was struggling with one of life's most basic needs, keeping the lights on. Every revolution needs a spark, a moment when frustration finally ignites into action. For Switzerland, that moment was the winter of 2022. The crisis was no longer a news story. It was a real and immediate threat. Suddenly, the abstract goals of Energy Strategy 2050 felt painfully urgent. The government, industries, and everyday citizens all awoke to the fact that the old way of doing things was no longer an option. Switzerland had to generate more of its own power, and it had to do it fast. But this wasn't just a directive from the top. A massive shift was happening from the ground up. Families, fed up with feeling powerless, began searching for their own solutions. The old skepticism about renewable energy began to melt away. People saw their neighbors taking a leap of faith, installing new technology on their homes, and they got curious. That curiosity sparked action. The crisis created a tidal wave of demand for change, a collective desire for energy independence that was about to completely reshape the nation's energy landscape. So, where did Switzerland find its answer? It wasn't in a fleet of new power plants or a controversial drilling project. The solution was smarter, more democratic, and a whole lot closer to home. It was on the rooftops, on the facades of apartment buildings, and even on balconies in the heart of bustling cities. The answer, it was the sun. But this isn't just a story about solar panels. That technology has been around for decades. The true secret power source is something deeper, a combination of cutting-edge tech, transformative new laws, and a fundamental shift in how people think about energy. Full combination. First, the technology. Solar panels are now more efficient and affordable than ever. The real magic, though, is what they're connected to. Smart home batteries like the Enphase IQ Battery 5P allow a family to store solar energy generated during the day and use it at night or on cloudy days. This simple addition shatters their dependence on the grid and grants them true energy freedom. For a typical single-family home, a standard solar setup costs around 30,000 Swiss francs, but government subsidies can slash that price by up to 30%. The second and perhaps most revolutionary part is the law. In June 2024, the Swiss people voted overwhelmingly in favor of a new electricity act. This was no minor tweak to the rules. It was a seismic shift. The law slashed through red tape, making it dramatically faster and easier to get solar projects approved. More importantly, it gave the legal green light to something called local energy communities, or LECs. This is where the real magic happens. An LEC allows a group of neighbors or an entire village to share the power they generate. If your solar panels produce more electricity than you can use, you can sell it directly to your neighbor down the street who might be charging their electric car. This creates a local, resilient microgrid. The results of this revolution are staggering. In 2010, Switzerland had minimal solar capacity. By the end of 2024, that number had exploded to nearly 8 gigawatts. And it's not slowing down. Projections show the market could rocket to almost 50 gigawatts by 2033. In 2025, solar energy is on track to cover over 10% of the country's total electricity needs. And by 2026, that share is expected to reach 14%. That's enough to power well over 1 million homes, leaving some of the nation's old nuclear plants in the dust. This is no longer a fringe movement, it's the new normal. The 2024 Electricity Act aims to boost renewable energy production to 35 terawatt-hours by 2035, with the lion's share coming from solar. The government is fueling this shift with new subsidies, especially for innovative setups on building facades that can generate more power during the winter. What was once a niche hobby for environmentalists has become a national strategic priority, backed by law and embraced by the people. The numbers tell one story, but it's in the human impact where you can truly feel the power of this change. For families who once dreaded their utility bills, it's life-altering. Think about it. Utility bills slashed in half, or in some cases, disappearing entirely, replaced by a check for the surplus energy they sold. It's the end of that gnawing anxiety and the dawn of a newfound sense of security and pride. This is especially true in the local energy communities. In places like Zurich and the canton of Ticino, entire neighborhoods are now collaborating. Creating these communities forges a powerful sense of solidarity. Energy is no longer a source of stress and division, it's bringing people together. Pioneers like Exnaton, a spin-off from ETH Zurich, helped launch the very first local energy community in Switzerland, proving the model's success and paving the way for new national laws. They're turning neighbors into partners on a shared mission. This is about more than technology. It's about rebuilding community strength from the ground up and empowering people to take control of their own futures. When you step back, you see this quiet revolution is charting a new course for the entire country. It's a direct response to the problem of energy dependence. With every new solar panel installed, Switzerland reduces its reliance on foreign fossil fuels and moves one step closer to its goal of net zero emissions by 2050. The World Economic Forum has taken notice, ranking Switzerland among the top 5 countries in its 2025 Energy Transition Index, celebrating its robust policies and clean energy initiatives. Of course, the journey isn't over. There are still challenges, like ensuring sufficient power during the long winters and managing the upfront cost of installation for every family. But technology is providing solutions. Alongside batteries, researchers and policymakers are exploring geothermal and wind power to complement solar and keep the energy flowing year-round. The new laws also offer targeted subsidies and incentives to ensure the transition is affordable and equitable for everyone. The Swiss model is living proof that energy independence is achievable, not just through giant centralized projects, but through the collective action of millions of empowered citizens. The story unfolding in Switzerland shows that radical change doesn't have to be loud. It can be a quiet hum, the silent turn of a solar panel towards the sun. It proves that when technology, policy, and community unite, even the greatest challenges can be overcome. What do you think? Could a model of decentralized, community-owned energy work where you live? Let us know in the comments. And to learn more about the incredible technology making this all possible, check out the website in the description below. The secret power source inside ordinary Swiss homes isn't just a piece of technology, it's a fundamental shift in mindset. It's the realization that real power doesn't have to flow from a distant, faceless plant. It can be generated right here on our own roofs and shared with our neighbors. Switzerland is doing more than just surviving the energy crisis. It's forging a more resilient, independent, and sustainable future. A silent revolution powered by the sun and fueled by the ingenuity of everyday people who decided together to take back control. One home, one community at a time.